Logan. Is he Logan? The first American driver in about 30 years to qualify in the top 10, something that even Williams didn't expect. We all know what happened with Logan Sargeant, this particular shot, which made me think a lot of things. This is going to be one of those shots that kind of symbolizes the turning point in a person's career. Logan Sargeant at that moment probably was thinking that his chances of being in Formula 1 for more than a single season were either on life support or they had gone up in smoke. Why are we in this situation where a lot of the time, and it's actually getting worse, rookies are not even getting a full season to actually prove themselves? Sometimes it can be as much as maybe 4 races before all of the rumblings start to happen. They'll, yeah, get him out! They're not good enough to be in Formula 1, get him out! I mean, we saw that with Nyck de Vries, and he was a Formula E and 2 champion. And Logan is, neither one of those things. He was improving, and he was actually doing something that doesn't really happen a lot these days. A driver academy, successfully getting a driver into Formula 1. The Williams Driver Academy. If you're wondering why Logan Sargeant is actually here right now, it's mainly because before James Vowles came along, they actually actioned the plan of getting Logan into Formula 1 a year earlier than they planned to originally. So in short, Logan was undercooked. Logan was meant to have that time to develop and have 2 seasons, that'd be great, but he only got 1. And there was a lot of rumblings about whether he'd even get that amount of super license point to be in Formula 1. He would have had to have a really dire end to that 2022 season for not that to be the case. Do you remember my video where I talked about the rookies? And now that's actually 1/3 accurate because Nyck de Vries is no longer here and Liam Lawson now is. I fear that it could be 2/3 accurate. But I feel that Logan will probably see the season out because James Vowles is a nice guy. And even though there are talks about Mick Schumacher replacing him, they're actually being dismissed for the time being because I reckon that James wants to give Logan as much time as possible. And I don't think even any mention of who's going to be driving in 2024 for Williams alongside Alex is going to be mentioned until after the young driver test session, where they can actually think about things and give Logan every single opportunity to improve. And he is improving. I remember a situation in Monaco where he wasn't really performing really well, so instead of just sending him round and round in circles dead last and just hoping that he would finish and kind of actually making it a really dull and stressful race for him because everyone would be looking at him and going, he's lost, James actually brought him in for soft tyres, and he actually explained this later on and after the race, that it was all to do with improving Logan Sargeant's tyre management. And this was a really good idea. You've got to use every single opportunity you can, especially since nowadays, you only get 3 days worth of testing. I mean, in 2022, they got 6 days because that was a brand new rule and regulation change. But really, you only get 3. And you need more than that for any rookie. Okay, you've got the young driver test and FP1 sessions, but for the most part, you don't get proper time to actually learn what's going on. And Logan, he's doing the best that he can. It's looking more and more likely that you have to be a Formula 2 champion or runner-up to even make it past 1 season. I mean, what's gone on there? People are pointing fingers at Lewis Hamilton, that he set the bar too high in his rookie season, that every single rookie that came after him has been compared to him. Even the likes of Lando Norris. And I would actually say that Lando Norris, prior to Oscar Piastri, was a good example of one of the best rookies to actually come out of Formula 2. I mean, you could say that Alex Albon did a really good job when he got promoted to Red Bull, and then you might actually say that about George Russell. So, I mean, the class of 2018 in Formula 2 was spectacular. I don't think we're going to be seeing 3 Formula 2 drivers coming in at once and all 3 of them doing really well. Okay, Drugovich, he's now in purgatory at Aston Martin, and Logan got the plum at Williams. I don't think you can really fairly compare Lewis Hamilton's rookie season to any other future rookie season because of the fact that back in 2007 and prior to that, if your team had a lot of money, you could basically test for as long as you want. As long as you got access to a track, which McLaren had Silverstone. I actually went to go and see David Coulthard test there one time. You really could just get your young driver out there, just put in the miles, hundreds of laps before you even have an official test session. In fact, official test sessions rarely happened outside of the season. Just a bunch of teams went to one random track, usually Jerez, Barcelona, then you got Silverstone, Ferrari had Fiorano. You just plod around the track time and time again until you got what you wanted, which is why the top teams were so far ahead of everyone else. A 3-second difference between first and last back in the day in the 2000s was quite common, usually be about 4, and back in the 90s, even more so, because you'd have the top 3 teams testing as long as they want, and then the other teams just lucky they had the money for cash to actually get to the track. But then of course you got Max Verstappen. He was a rookie that came in 2014 and he blitzed everybody and really showed his potential, and I mean look where he is right now. So you can easily compare more accurately Logan Sargeant to Max Verstappen. Oh, in fact that probably would make it worse. Lando Norris probably would be more suitable. If this had been the Williams of 2020, 2021, 2022, in fact all of the Nicholas Latifi years, Logan probably would have been able to stay for as long as he basically wanted to, because Williams weren't really showing up to the party, and most people were looking at George Russell and Nicholas Latifi before that incident. But Logan probably would have been able to go under the radar, just a nice little mention for the Williams Driver Academy, and that would have been that. But now Williams are slowly rising up in the order. It's not external pressure, it's internal pressure, because Williams are quite a remarkable team if you think about it. As James Vries has said, their equipment at Grove is 20 years effectively behind everyone else's. And despite numerous attempts to go to the FIA and the other teams to really consider them to be able to put more money in to improve their equipment, the other teams just go, no, we want to have the same dispensation. So you really can't win, can you? So Williams have to make do with what they got, and they certainly have done that. Now, Williams are quite easily not just the back markers, they are now well in the midfield. They are convincingly in 7th place, and therefore, they can actually look to aspire for better. And with further leadership, they can actually improve and progress. And that's where I think Logan is getting worried, because they can expect better. An Albon-Schumacher lineup would be a really good one to send a signal towards the rest of the grid that Williams is getting back to where they are supposed to be, and in a really good manner too, because since 2018, their lineup wasn't really convincing. Their most convincing lineup in the recent years has been Massa and Bottas. I feel like Schumacher is pretty much destined to be at Williams, but they're not going to be announcing anything just yet for Logan, because he needs the time. He needs a whole season to at least show what he can do. And that is something that is becoming increasingly rare, because as I said earlier, there are just people wanting to down on rookies after just 4 races. It shouldn't be like that. If that were the case, then all of the rookies would have been destined to ridicule, because all 3 rookies this year were in teams that were vastly underperforming, not getting any points at all. I mean, Oscar managed to buck the trend, and now McLaren's in a place to actually get points, and Oscar's almost about to score more points than Ricciardo did last year, so that's going to be a big scalp. Nyck de Vries, well, I mean, he should have at least had 2 more races based on who he was, and really, he should have actually had the whole season. But Logan, he's had every chance that he could. And I think Monza was the death knell. Kind of like what it was for Nicholas Latifi last year when Nyck de Vries went to 2 points in a car that really does not get that many points. Monza right now, in the way that the Williams car is configured, is the place where all Williams drivers actually test themselves. If Logan scored his first points there at Monza, I think that would have been enough to keep him there 1 more season. But now, their best opportunity to score points, they didn't get that. You can actually see Logan starting to flare back up again as he blamed the team for not giving him the right front wing to actually be able to show what he can do. But that's not down to preferential treatment for Albon, mostly. It's down to the fact that you have to remember, Williams are on limited resources. They can only make enough parts and certain upgrades for 1 driver right now. Don't break things like Logan did at Zandvoort twice. So that's something you really have to consider here, is that Williams, they may be going places, but they are still limited to what they can make in their budget. They will improve because they're now 7th, they'll get tens of millions of dollars more than they used to, albeit at the cost of some ATR time, which they've actually been able to utilize as best they can. They are really plucky and resourceful. But I think Logan now, who's been relatively quiet and actually quite mature and pragmatic about his situation, is now starting to get a little bit more desperate, because I've not really seen Logan complain all that much about the team not providing him what he needs, and what he needs is the best equipment possible for him to actually score points. And I think the last real opportunity now that Williams can look for some decent points is going to be Las Vegas, because it's going to be a night race, it's not going to be all that hot, hopefully. Logan's got 1 more chance. If Logan can't perform there, and if Albon's getting to Q3 and Logan doesn't, in fact barely makes it through Q2 like at Monza, then that might be it. I feel that Mick Schumacher will definitely come in because Toto is a shareholder of Williams. He owns 5% of the team. I'm pretty sure that he is going to convince James Vowles to put his guy in, at least for one season, to try and keep him relevant towards Formula One. Williams needs to be the place where Mick Schumacher can just hold himself. And he has actually been starting to lash out at Gunther Steiner again, and he's actually been doing some very clipped remarks about his tenure there. But that's for another video. But Logan right now, he's just in a state of flux because he's being compared to Lewis Hamilton, which is not fair. Every single time a rookie comes around, it's always being compared to Lewis Hamilton. But there were other rookies that changed the goalpost going back years. Alonso changed the goalpost, even though nobody knew it until 2003. Michael Schumacher raised the bar for everyone else. So this just happens. Every 5 or 10 years, a rookie comes along and raises the bar for other prospective rookies. Formula 2 is increasing in caliber every single year. This year in Formula 2, it's looking really good. You got Théo Pourchaire and Frédéric Vesti fighting for the title. One race to go. It could go Pourchaire's way. It could go Vesti's way. Iwasa's right there. Oliver Behrman, who is a really young gun, driving for the Ferrari Academy, getting 2 feature race wins. That's incredible. That's a really good British prospect, which I feel like could be a catalyst in case Charles Leclerc goes elsewhere. I feel like Logan is on borrowed time, but I feel like he is in the best place to at least get a whole season to try and test himself, because James has got his bag, at least for now. Whether or not he will do so after the young test at the end of the year, I don't know. But if you'd like to know what I think about the other rookies that have been going around this season, you can check out this video next and see how wrong I was about certain drivers.